All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kwakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and have been ruling well. Peace and salutations to you sincere brothers out there pushing the truth across the four corners of earth. Continue to push the truth, continue to fight, continue to endure in the faith. Real quick, man. You gotta, because every day really, as the Spirit has it, we got to keep going into prophecy. We got to keep going into all these different things that are written, because just like it says in the scriptures, the things mentioned, the things forementioned. Matter of fact, let me get the scripture. Oh yeah, the things mentioned before your time are written for your learning, basically. So you have some things that are written for your learning that are wisdom, and you have some things that are prophecy that are yet to come, or as we're seeing, they're playing out now. One of them being Matthew 24. This is Matthew 24:4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And interestingly enough, you actually had somebody who said he was the comforter. And Esau actually got him for, I don't know the specific charge. I think it was fraud or something like that. But Esau got him, basically. He was a deceiver. He was deceiving many. And later on, his followers admitted that they were in a cult. Hey, but here it is. You have brothers in Israel, men in Israel, who have been calling this guy out for years and years. But those people who are under his spell, they just never wanted to admit it. Until, Esau busted him. Now, everybody can see it clear as day. And that's how, that's how wisdom works. That's how knowledge and understanding works. If you can't see it, you're blinded to something simple like that, then, when it creeps up on you, you can't even be mad. You can't be mad about it. You can't be upset about it. You have different men, all kind of elders telling you different things, giving you different information that they spent their life laboring for, and then you ignore that shit. That's what's going on in Israel right now. You got a lot of guys just coming up with their own bullshit, and here, and trying to diss other men who've been in the faith for 20, 30 years or so. And then these guys are just coming with a whole bunch of wayward shit that's already been disproven. And hey man, it's unfortunate, but hey, prophecy has to happen. Many shall come in my name, and nobody's came forth. Well, you have a lot of you have a lot of idiots talking about they are the son of the Most High. A lot of people just saying it just on some clown shit just to say it, but then you're gonna have a lot more. So hey, you gotta watch for that. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors to wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And so the whole Christian narrative is a thing of peace and love and safety and running through fields of daffodils and shit, like the damn Little House on the Prairie intro, But all these things in the scriptures, man, it's another scripture too. Woe unto them that desire the day of the Lord, but it should be darkness and light. So you have a lot of dark times coming, a lot of dark places coming. Just like they show you in all these little post-apocalyptic movies. And hey, the reason we're into cinema is because that's Esau's form of his producers. Those so-called Amalekites in Hollywood, they read the Bible heavily, and they try to emulate and copy the Most High. And in a sense that they're like prophets, on the left-hand side. They try to prophesy to their best understanding, but ultimately the people who had the truth is the men of the Lord. With the top group being the men of Great Millstone. But I'm gonna just keep reading. Verse 7: For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So this is just the start. This is just the start. And just before I jump to that, because I jumped down to where actually he started quoting Daniel, the prophet, Daniel Allah, the prophet. And one of the things he said is what? For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Hey, so you can sit here, you can read the page, and you can read it, but if you think about that, all the terrible things, the atomic bomb, nuclear weapons, the 70 AD, the siege of Jerusalem, the destruction, the different captivity of all the different tribes of Israel, all the different, it's so much more. All the battlefields of bloodshed, the invasions, the war, the chaos, Sodom and Gomorrah, the great flood, that's what it's referencing. It said what? For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. And you think of the flood when Jehoshaphat first came and he first destroyed the world because he got pissed off, save for 8 people, and now that energy, man, because this place has become so fucking wicked, so vile, so disgusting. You wake up, you do all your regular daily shit, and you can't help but see it. You can't pretend, even if you go to the nice part of town, you can't pretend not to see it. Okay, on a social level, you got all kind of deviants, homos, trannies, drug users, motherfuckers with diseases and all kind of sick, abominable things. You got all kind of people trying to indoctrinate your children, right? These so-called fake-ass Jews, they come up with the curriculum, that Kaplan curriculum or whatever the fuck curriculum you have in your school, and basically everything that your child learns is something that they've already pre-sanctioned it. That's what I'm trying to say. They've already basically your children are being taught revisionist history. And in the Israelite community, the father's being pushed out of the house, the mother's being put on a pedestal, all the while given less, because in these days and times, it's crazy. Women have the least respect as they've ever had in history, because even before, you had some women were in their place, but women at least had respect. As long as they stayed in their place, they stayed in their order, they had the respect that they were supposed to receive, and they could do the things that they were supposed to do. But now, it's a Google click away, and you can see your nation's women, butt ass naked online or shaking their ass for all kind of men to see. A bunch of proud, stuck-up bitches who they're not in touch with their femininity. They're not in touch with any kind of family structure. And a lot of them, as much as they try to hide it, they have a lot of deep mental, psychological issues. And when you deal with them, that shit comes out. But hey, that's just I'm going to try to keep it short with that one, because we could talk about, women all day. The women are a reflection of the men. The woman is a lesser spirit. She's a reflection of the men. So the problem starts with the Israelite men. You know, the Israelite men are most fucked up out of all of them. And hey, just getting back to the scriptures though, I don't want to make this too long. It says $1 billion weather and climate disasters, because these Edomites, they track this kind of stuff. So found here the weather and climate events that have had the greatest economic impact from 1980 to 2018. The U.S. has sustained 238 weather and climate disasters since 1980, where overall damages reached or exceeded $1 billion. The total cost of these 238 events exceeds $1 trillion. So that's $1 trillion supposedly, because a lot of the so-called a lot of the Israelite communities, they just never get rebuilt. I'll put it like that. They never get rebuilt. And these Edomites, they send their own people to go down and to do an assessment of the damage or whatever. Then they start assessing, you know, if they can come down and they can buy up the real estate and all this shit. So, you know, Esau inflates the numbers. But to get to the point, in 2018, as of October the 9th, there have been 11, so that's 11 out of these 238 events. There have been 11 weather and climate disaster events, which that's like about 5% of that number. There have been 11 weather and climate disaster events with losses exceeding $1 billion across the United States. These events include all these different things. And if you notice, it said what? The most recent 5 years, 2013 to 2017, has the highest average. So, hey, these things are all ramping up. You know, wildfires. When I was a kid, I could never even remember anything like this. You know, maybe a couple mudslides here or there, but now, you know, these wildfires are going for miles. You got droughts. You got hailstorms in the middle of June. Well, that's near the mountains, but still, that's in the middle of June. Hailstorms down here, of course, Tornado Alley. Hey, so it's nowhere in this place you can run, because even up here in the north, they got a lot of snow blizzards. They got a lot of icy rain, ice over, all that shit. Hey, there's nowhere you can run from the wrath of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And in the time coming, just like the scriptures talk about, hey, except those days be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days should be short. And it's got to be shortened because of the different things that Esau has going on. He's got all these biological weapons they can unleash, and they have the cure for it. But hey, the Lord has given us natural cures and things to heal. You know, we use that to the best of our ability. Hey, it's so much more. Esau, you know, Esau can just run up, roll up, bust down your door, and fucking put a couple in your head. Oops, wrong house. Okay, not guilty. Sorry about that. And keep rolling. So hey man, accept these days. So the Lord is speeding up time. Like it said, except those days be shortened, there should be no flesh. So he's speeding up the time so we can get the fuck out of here. Hey, because this is another prophecy we're waiting on. This is Trump meeting with Netanyahu.
If I had to say what is our greatest challenge in the Middle East, to both our countries, to our Arab neighbors, it's encapsulated in one word: Iran. Iran has not given up.
That's not the one. Okay, here's the one. Because this is a better shot. It shows his face.
To both our countries, to our Arab neighbors.
It shows his soul, which is a fuck. You can see. You can make your own assessment about his soul. Look at that shit.
It's encapsulated in one word: Iran.
Nah, yeah. He said, you notice he says Iran and Trump gets shook. Oh shit.
Iran has not given up its nuclear ambitions. It came out of this nuclear deal emboldened, enriched. It's practicing aggression everywhere, including on our own borders. And I think we
the fucking beady-eyed fucking devil. Hey, just real quick. Joel 3:2 said, well, I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. That's what we're waiting on. You know, Jehoshaphat, that's the Gulf Coast. And you know, the country smack dab in the middle of the Gulf Coast. In fact, I put it in Jehoshaphat, it should pop up. Okay. Not what I'm looking for, but that's okay. Let's try that. Oh, yeah. Yep. That's where they gotta go. Back to the you know, so-called civil center of civilization. So-called. Okay, yeah, it'll pop up. And Salakia, I said Gulf Coast, Salakia. Picture kind of threw me off. I'm at the Persian Gulf, Salakia, Persian Gulf. So this is where the final battle is going to take place, and it's been building up. You know, the U.S. is allied with Saudi Arabia. You know, Saudi Arabia work close with us. And then you got Iran, the different tribes that are in Iran, and they've been fighting through, you know, different little proxy countries to try to, you know, get at each other. Matter of fact, and okay, and these Edomites, you know, this isn't like it's something foreign or new. These Edomites have been keeping because a lot of these Edomites, they know and they understand the scriptures, and they know, you know, just like they have it here, they know that this is the final frontier. This is the final leg, final corner of the earth, you know, all going back to the so-called Fertile Crescent. This is where the final battle is going to be. You know, the U.S. has never been able to go into Iran. They have not. That's all due to prophecy.
The Saudi-Iranian rivalry has become a fight over influence, and the whole region is a battlefield. It's why the rivalry is being called the Cold War.
And the two main countries, by the way, backing Saudi Arabia and Iran, to reiterate, Saudi Arabia is backed by the U.S., Iran is backed by Russia. So they're an extension of Esau.
The most famous Cold War was collapsed, leaving these tribes to fight each other over power. One tribe from the
Yep, even Al-Saud, then it became Saudi Arabia, so it's not named after fucking Esau.
interior, the Al-Saud, eventually conquered most of the peninsula. In 1932, they were recognized as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. 6 years later, massive oil reserves were discovered in Saudi Arabia, and in an instant, the Saudi monarchy was...
And that's one of the blessings of Ishmael. You know, Esau has a blessing too, but one of the blessings of Ishmael, the fatness of the earth. You know, this oil, all this other, these natural resources.
That oil money built roads and cities all around the desert country, and it helped forge an alliance with the U.S. On the eastern side of the Persian Gulf, another country was emerging, but having a much harder time. Iran also had massive oil reserves and an even bigger Muslim population, but constant foreign intervention was creating chaos. Since the 18th century, Iran had been invaded by the Russians and the British twice. In 1953, the U.S. secretly staged a coup, removing the popular Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. In his place, they propped up a monarch, Reza Shah, who was aggressively reforming Iran into a secular, westernized country. But he harbored corruption and terrorized the population with his secret police, the Savak. By the 1970s, both Saudi Arabia and Iran had oil-based economies and had governments heavily backed by the U.S. But the feelings among each population were very different.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, the Shah of Iran, powerful as he was, simply didn't have the same control over his people or ultimately the same legitimacy and affection that the Saudi people felt toward their monarchy at that point in time.
That's because Iran's Muslims felt stifled by the Shah's reformations, and by the end of the decade, they finally fought back.
Iran's Islamic Revolution overthrew a powerful regime that boasted military might.
It's really in 1979, when Ayatollah Khomeini and the Islamic Revolution overthrow the Shah, that the real tension between Iran and Saudi Arabia began.
Ayatollah Khomeini was a Muslim clergyman who preached against Western-backed secular monarchies. He advocated for a government that was popular, Islamic, and led by the clergy.
Yep.
And in 1979, he led a revolution to establish just that. The population is mostly Sunni, the majority sect of Islam, while Khomeini and Iran are mostly Shia.
Westerners always make a mistake in drawing an analogy between the Sunnis.
The stage was set for conflict. On September the 26th.
Hey, so that's one thing that's interesting. You know, these Edomites, they do these videos going in depth on these subjects. You know, they know the history of so-called Islam, which dominates the Middle East. They know the two sects of it, the different beliefs that each people believe, the different tribes. A lot of these Edomites actually know the different, because you know, the Arabs go back to Ishmael, but then you have some Elamites in there as well. But then you also have, you know, sons of Aram, so you have those different mixed up tribes in there, and Esau in a lot of cases can identify those people, you know. But then, you know, when they get on the news and they tell it to the American people, they dumb the shit down so much to try to make, you know, these people seem like the bad guy, but really they've done all their homework. And that's the case with the Israelites as well. That's the case with so-called Black, Native American, and Latino people. These Edomites, they have our history heavily documented. You know, they know year by year because they were the ones who were in power. So they know year by year the different things that were going on, the different positions we were in, the places we were in. These Edomites keep track of all that information. And they use that to make different military assessments. Hey, but guess what? Hey, Yahweh Shem Shai, despite all this man's ingenuity, all his inventions, all his clever ideas, Yahweh Shem Shai is going to bring this man to his knees. Because like I said, Joel 3:3, they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Yep, yeah, and do what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, in the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I recompense upon your own head. So there you go. All these countries that are set to challenge the Lord, they're gonna be destroyed. Yeah, but I'm not gonna make this too long. Hey, one more, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. Hey, and the arts of Titus, that's the perfect example of that. You know, we can end it on that. Yep, we can end it on that. Celebration of destruction of the Israelites. Kept up very well to this day. Hey, with that being said, all praise to Yahweh Shem, Shabbat Shem, Kwakadash Shalom.